I'm here with 2019 Indy 500 champion Simon Pagenaud. Simon, you participated last week in the IndyCar iRacing Challenge Round 1 from Watkins, Glen. How'd it go?
Well, Greg, thanks for having me on the podcast. It was a very interesting week last week because there was a lot of adjustments, just trying to get the rig running well. I usually use Oculus as a VR system because I really like the depth and the environment, but I can't sustain it for that long of a race. So I purchased some big screen and I had a blast. I really enjoyed it. I've got some help from Race Clutch, who's a virtual French team, and they've been awesome at teaching me how to drive the simulator better. And it's been a learning curve, but I'm really enjoying it. I'm having fun. And you know what? It's a fantastic opportunity to engage with our fans, and iRacing is going to be booming. It's a very, very cool opportunity for iRacing, for us, IndyCar, and I think it's fantastic that we can engage so well with the fans.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to not only participate, but you spent more time than a lot of people. You actually were helping us build the set. You were giving us a lot of feedback. Tell me about that a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's the technical part of racing is what I'm really into, and I believe it's my quality to maybe feel a race car and try to steer it towards a way that I might be able to drive it better. So it's an interaction I really enjoy with either the engineer or in that case the developer. So I drove it around and then I was a bit worried that at the beginning we weren't going to give a good show to the fans with too many crashes. So hand in hand with iRacing, I'm sure I wasn't the only driver, but we worked together to try to make a set that was a little bit more stable. And in the end, I think we had a really good race. So it was on all point, it was a good performance from everybody, and it was a really amazing race on Saturday, where I felt just as much pressure as usual, even more, because I didn't feel like I was as much in control as I would in the real car.
Yeah, that was actually a great segue into my next question. I kind of wanted to go through your thought process. We had the qualifying and then right into the race. How is it? Obviously, you don't have the seat of your pants feel that you have in your real car. But how is it different? How is it similar? What was your mindset and the nerves going into that race?
It's draining. It's really draining, mentally speaking. You're always so tense because you don't know when the car might step out. And so you're lacking a sense that we usually use a lot as race drivers since we're 8 years old doing go-karts. So the biggest thing for me on the sim racing is to know how much to steer before the front tires saturate. How aggressive can you be with the brake pedal, with the throttle when you accelerate, without spinning? And it's quite difficult. It's very difficult. It's almost like you have to learn a new skill. So, it's interesting because at the end of this, I think I'm actually going to be a better driver because of how detailed you have to be. It's very detail-oriented. You have to be very disciplined. You have to spend the hours, and you have to be studious as well on how to be faster. So on all these points, you're actually doing a similar work, similar job than what you would in the real life, but it's a better controlled environment. So you can replicate the performance to the T. So it's very enjoyable. It's just a very, very different feel.
That's great to hear. Let's go through the race itself. You finished sixth. You were on the lead lap. You had some trouble early though. The Penske cars were battling, literally.
Yeah, unfortunately I felt really strong at the beginning of the race. I was behind Scott McLaughlin and I was just biding my time. I felt quicker, but I thought, there's going to be crashes. There's no point to pass early on and take too many risks. I wanted to go to the end to learn as much as possible in the first race. And unfortunately, Askew and McLaughlin got together in the bus stop, and Joseph and I had nowhere to go, and we ended up crashing with them. So I don't know how, but Scott kept going. My car was bent. came to the pits, made a pit stop. Yeah, so we had to do one more stop than everybody else, and we still come back to P6 with an amazing strategy from my engineer, Ben Bretzman, who's usually my engineer at the racetrack. So that was fun. The comeback was good. Just wish we had the chance to fight for a podium, but Sage was untouchable. Rosenquist is very used to this as well and very fast. So I think for us in our class, I think Power was the guy to beat. I'll tell you what, that was fun. I can't wait for Barber this week. I feel a lot more comfortable in Barber. It's a track that I know well. And I think everybody is going to be even better. So it's going to be competitive, and it's going to get more and more competitive as well.
I can't tell you the number of emails, calls, and texts from race engineers saying, how can I get involved? I need to help my driver. The strategists are getting involved. The teams are getting involved. People are definitely taking this seriously. So I'm excited for Barber this week. How has practice been going? We just kind of have started our official practices within the league. What do you think you've got? I mean, where are you sitting?
I think I'm actually a lot better than I was in Watkins. Barber is a track that I've won at. It's interesting because on the simulator, I realized that on IRacing, I realized that the same driving tricks work, and that's how you gain lap time. So I've already done a lot of work on that track to know how to go fast, and it translates well. So far, I've been able to do long runs. I feel very comfortable with the set. The car is very stable and efficient as well. I started working on more details than I did in Watkins Glen already. So I feel like my race pace is going to be strong, but I also feel like my qualifying pace is going to be a lot better. So we'll see where everybody's at. It's difficult to know because everybody's playing games in practice, in the official practice. So it's difficult to know where you sit, but I think I should be top 6.
Yeah, noticing a lot of people are leaning on the push to pass button in practice. It's fun to once somebody lays down a time. So for those of you not as up to speed on iRacing, during the event, these drivers get 10 uses of the push to pass button. They get 10 seconds of boost each time, whereas during practice, a lot of times they use the button out of every single corner. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
It's interesting because in real life we have similar situations sometimes when practice, like in practice 1, sometimes we're allowed to use push to pass because there's no warm up on that weekend. So for the Chevy or Honda manufacturer, we need to press the button for them to make sure it's working. And in those sessions, you can be sure the drivers will use the push to pass all around the racetrack on their fast laps. So it's always the same. A driver wants to be fast and be P1 at every session. So once you know you have push to pass, you just want to lay a big lap and remind everybody you're fast. That's how it works.
In my previous career with in Skeleton, we had a saying. It was a push for show, throw down for dough. So we'll figure out who can throw down on race day. Now, exactly. I want to go back just a little bit. You said you've been involved with iRacing. You've used iRacing. You weren't one of those guys that got an account last week and are just getting up to speed, but knocking the rust off a little bit, right?
Yes, I've had an account since 2008, I believe. I've always loved it, and I feel like iRacing has developed into a very, very accurate sim. I thought at the beginning, obviously, in 2008, it was a long time ago. I feel like iRacing was already the best sim out there, but they were getting the feet wet. So now, like it's almost like driving the real car. So it's quite phenomenal for a sim that only costs this little amount of money that you can drive race cars at this level and so accurately. So it's I'm definitely I wasn't training as much on it because we have a simulator we use with Chevy and we spend a lot of time on it. But now that I've got back on it, I realized I could be training a lot more on it and get better. So I assure you I'll be on it a lot more often from now on.
That's awesome to hear. Got any tips while knocking the rust off for all these new members that have been coming in during this time? Any tips for the new guys out there to tips by Simon?
Well, I think you've got to you've got to go in the official sessions and you need to ask questions. The cool thing about this community is people will answer your questions and help you to get better. There's definitely a respect on track that's a little different than real life. Obviously, it's a different environment. You don't want to wreck people because you lose respect and people will not want to help you. So respect the ones around you and respect their speed and try to learn from them. But this, get together with people. I mean, online now with Discord or TeamSpeak, you can talk as you drive and you can have people coaching you and help you. And once you do that, I would say you can improve pretty quickly. But more hours, the better. And don't forget to get a good router and good internet speed for good quality as well.
Somebody go tell James Hinchcliffe that last one.
Yes, you should.
Well, Simon, I don't want to keep you too long. I appreciate you giving us the time today. Once again, your 2019 Indy 500 champion, Simon Pagenaud, taking the track during the IndyCar iRacing Challenge Round 2 at Barber Motorsports Park. That's this Saturday, 2:30 p.m. Eastern. We look forward to seeing you battle it out and wish you the best of luck.
I look forward to it. Thanks for doing all this for the fans and for us racers. It's amazing. So we'll be there and can't wait for Saturday.
All right, thanks, Simon.